Hello friends, welcome to another lecture of machine design, and in today's lecture we are going to cover two very important types of clutches, cone clutch and centrifugal clutch. In the past few lectures we have covered single plate clutch and multi plate clutch. Okay, so those of you who are watching our videos for the first time, let me tell you about our YouTube channel Unacademy Gate ME. जो लोग पहली बार इस चैनल पे आए हैं, वेलकम टू दिस चैनल अन अकेडमी गेट एमई, विच इज इंडियाज ओनली यूट्यूब चैनल डेडिकेटेड टू मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर्स. इस चैनल पे सिर्फ मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग के लेक्चर्स अपलोड किए जा रहे हैं और कोई भी ब्रांच के लेक्चर्स नहीं आ रहे हैं. सो दिस इज अ वन स्टॉप सोल्यूशन फॉर द मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर्स. And this is the team of Unacademy ME, which consists of some of the finest teachers of India. So don't wait and subscribe to this channel, my friend. You are going to get amazing content. You are going to get all the live online lectures. So don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon so that you will be notified whenever we will be live. And my friends, we need your support in order to reach to maximum number of students. As you all know, these are completely free of cost lectures, free education, my friends, which should get to every student of India. So that is our objective. अगर ये वीडियोस सारे लोगों तक पहुंचेंगे, इंडिया के सारे स्टूडेंट्स तक पहुंचेंगे, तभी हम सोचेंगे कि हम जो काम कर रहे हैं, हम जो मेहनत कर रहे हैं, वो सफल हो रही है. इफ दिस वीडियो रीचेस टू ऑल स्टूडेंट्स, देन ओनली वी विल फील लाइक आवर एफर्ट्स आर गेटिंग सम बेनिफिट्स. So that's why I need your support for that. So please don't forget to share the link of this video on your Facebook and your WhatsApp. Copy the link right now. Copy the link and send it to all your friends on WhatsApp groups or Facebook, my friend. And don't forget to hit the like button and mark your presence. This is an online lecture and the like button is kind of a virtual attendance for you. तो जल्दी से जाकर लाइक बटन दबा दीजिए और अपनी अटेंडेंस लगा दीजिए. नाउ वी हैव अ फ्यू मोर ऑफरिंग्स फॉर यू. हमारे पास कुछ और चीजें हैं आप लोगों के लिए, कुछ फ्री इनिशिएटिव्स हैं. वी हैव आवर ओन टेलीग्राम चैनल. द लिंक ऑफ दिस चैनल is given in the description of the video. So don't forget to follow this channel because we are going to post all the PDF of the lectures, all the PDF of the practice sheets in this telegram channel. इसी telegram channel पे आपको सारे PDF मिलने वाले हैं, तो जल्दी से जाकर इस telegram channel को फॉलो करना मत भूलिए, क्योंकि हर लेक्चर के बाद इस telegram channel पे उस लेक्चर के PDF नोट्स अपलोड होते हैं. After every lecture ends, we upload the PDF notes of every lecture. Now my friend, those of you who are watching me for the first time, let me give a brief description, a brief introduction. My name is Aprup Rao. I did my MTech from IIT Kharagpur and my specialization was mechanical systems design. Then I was recruited by Mahindra and Mahindra. I worked in their research and development center called Mahindra Research Valley, where my work was the design and analysis of the body parts of Mahindra and Mahindra cars, XUV 500, KUV, TUV. You have heard of these SUVs, right? So Mahindra makes some of the finest SUVs in India. So I worked there for 2 years as deputy manager, but I always had a passion for teaching. So I quit my job and I started teaching. So I've been teaching for more than 6 years now. I have taught thousands of students in these past 6 years, and I take subjects related to design. You can see that my post graduation was in design, then my work was in design. So I teach subjects related to design, strength of materials, machine design, engineering mechanics, and theory of machines. And these are the other members of my team, which consists of some of the finest teachers of India. Mr. Devendra Singh Negi, Pallav sir, Amit Dikshit sir, Alok sir, Prakhar sir, some of the finest faculties of India, my friend. Okay, so we are taking live classes on YouTube and on Unacademy Plus. So don't forget to follow us there also. Okay, now my friend, in the past few lectures we saw single plate clutch and we saw multi plate clutch. In today's lecture we are going to cover cone clutch and centrifugal clutch, and we will solve some numericals related to cone clutch and centrifugal clutch. Okay, so let's first talk about cone clutch. Now the working principle of cone clutch is very similar to plate clutch. In plate clutch we saw that if you apply axial load, then the pressure plate and the clutch plate are connected together, right? Pressure plate and clutch plate are connected together, and friction force is developed between these plates. Friction force is developed on the friction surface, okay? And this friction force transfers the torque, right? So the working principle of cone clutch is very similar. Here also there will be one plate on the input side, one plate on the output side. When they will be connected together, there will be friction force between them, and this friction force is going to transfer the torque. Okay, so the working principle is almost similar. There is only a little different between the plate clutch and cone clutch, and that is the shape of the friction surface. In case of plate clutch, friction surface was like this, vertical, right? In case of cone clutch, it is inclined, my friend. Okay, in case of cone clutch, it is inclined. Okay, so you can see that these are the major parts of a cone clutch. Okay, this is the construction of cone clutch. You can see that there are two major plates, this and this. Okay, this part, this green part is the female part. This green part is the female part. You can say that it is a female cone. This part is the female cone. Sorry, because it is hollow, so this is a female cone, and this blue part is the male cone. This blue part is the male cone. Okay, so this green cone is hollow, so this blue cone gets inside the green cone, and the contact takes place on this surface, my friend. This is the friction lining. This is the friction lining. Okay, this brown part is the friction lining, or you can say friction surface. So when this cone will get inside this cone, the female cone, then the contact will take place on this surface, my friend, which is known as the friction lining. So when the load is applied in this direction by the spring, by default the spring applies a load, my friend. So due to this load, this cone and this cone are attached together. Okay, so let's say this is the male cone and this is the female cone. So male cone is attached to the female cone like this. Okay, so the contact takes place on this surface, inclined surface, my friend. Okay, in case of plate clutch, the contact takes place on the vertical surface. Okay, so this in case of plate clutch, the two plates are like this, pressure plate, this clutch plate, and they are connected like this. The contact takes place on the vertical surface. But in case of cone clutch, male cone is this, female cone is this. So when this will get inside this, then the contact will take place on the inclined surface, my friend. Okay, so this is the friction lining, my friend, which is inclined, and this angle, my friend, the angle of inclination, this is the angle of inclination. This is the angle of inclination, my friend. This total angle of inclination, my friend, is known as cone angle. This total angle of inclination is known as cone angle. It is given by 2 alpha. So 2 alpha is known as cone angle, my friend. So what will be the half of it? Alpha is known as semi-cone angle. If you look at one surface, the inclination of one surface, this one surface is known as semi-cone angle, alpha, and this total angle of inclination, is known as cone angle. This is very important, my friend, because in the equations, the equation of torque will be in terms of alpha. So in order to calculate torque, we put the value of alpha, but usually students make this mistake that they consider the total cone angle. They put the total cone angle. Total cone angle is 2 alpha. Okay, total cone angle is 2 alpha, and alpha is known as semi-cone angle, half of it, and its value 2 alpha is usually around 25 degree. In most of the questions you will see the value of 2 alpha is 25 degree. Now my friend, let me tell you why we are making it inclined, my friend. Okay, I will give you a logical explanation. I will give you a logical explanation why we make it an inclined surface. Okay, so let me give you a logical explanation, my friend. Let me give you a logical explanation. So my friend, in case of plate clutch, the contact takes place on this surface, this vertical surface, right? The contact takes place on the vertical surface, on this surface. Okay, but in case of cone clutch, the contact takes place on this surface, right? This angle is alpha, right? Now my friend, look at this, this surface, look at this area, my friend. If you calculate this area and if you calculate this area, which one will be greater, my friend? You can see that clearly this area, my friend, this area from here to here, this area will be greater than this area, right? This area will be greater than this area, and if there is more area, my friend, there will be more friction. So this is the logical explanation why we use cone clutch, my friend. In case of plate clutch, the contact takes place on the vertical surface, okay, and in case of cone clutch, the contact takes place on the inclined surface. So the area gets increased, my friend. The area gets increased. Okay, this area, if you calculate this area, it will be greater than this area. So if the area of contact is more, then the friction will be more, and if the friction is more, you will be able to transfer more torque, my friend. In order to transfer more torque, we need more friction. So how do we increase friction in this case? By increasing the contact area. In case of plate clutch, the contact area is on vertical surface, and in case of cone clutch, the contact takes place on inclined surface. The area of the inclined surface is always more than this vertical surface. You can see from this triangle, this length will be greater than this length, so this area will be greater than this area, so the contact area is increasing, my friend. So do you understand this? Do you understand this? This is the logical explanation, my friend. This is the logical explanation. Now let's see the working of the cone clutch using an animation, my friend. I told you that we will see a lots of animation in machine design. We will understand all the working principles, all the construction by the animation. Okay, so let's see the animation of the cone clutch. Okay, so this is the basic working of cone clutch, my friend. You can see that this is the female cone. This green part is the female cone, and this yellow part is the male cone. Okay, you can see that this is the green part, this is the female cone, and this yellow part is the male cone, and this is the friction surface, my friend. This black color thing is the friction surface, and look at this. When it is inside this, by default it is connected, so both are attached, my friend, and the contact is taking place on the inclined surface for more area. Okay, and when you apply axial load, then it will be disconnected. When you apply axial load, then it will be disconnected, my friend. When you apply axial load, then it will be disconnected. Okay, so this is right now disconnected. See, this part is rotating, the input part is rotating, output part is stopped. And when you don't apply the axial load, then it is by default connected. So both are rotating together. So do you understand? The working principle, my friend? Do you understand the working principle? See, right now both are disconnected, okay, and now they are connected. So the connection is taking place on this inclined surface for more area and for more friction, my friend. Okay, so this is the working of the cone clutch. Now, my friend, we need to find the equation of axial load W and torque for cone clutch also. We have seen the equation in case of single plate clutch. In case of multi-plate clutch, we saw that we only need to multiply N in the equation of torque. Equation of W is same, and equation of torque, in that equation we only need to multiply N, right? Now my friend, we will derive the equation. We will derive the equation for cone clutch. We will derive the equation for cone clutch, my friend. Okay, so let's consider a cone clutch. Let's consider a cone clutch. This is the friction lining. Okay, this is the friction lining. This is the front view and this is the side view. Okay, this is the side view, my friend. Okay, this is the front view. This view is the front view. From front it will look like this. Okay, and from side it will look conical like this. Okay, my friend, this distance is R1, inner radius, right? This distance is R1, inner radius. This is R1 and this distance is R2, outer radius. Okay, so we have seen this in case of cone clutch also, plate clutch also. This distance is R1, this distance is R1 and this distance is R2. These are the dimensions. Okay, now my friend, this angle is the angle of inclination known as semi-cone angle alpha. Okay, and this width, my friend, this width where the contact takes place, this width, my friend, this width is known as face width. Okay, this width is known as face width. Okay, so R1 is the inner radius. R1 is the inner radius of the friction lining. R2 is the outer radius of the friction lining. Alpha is the semi-cone angle. Alpha is the semi-cone angle. And B is the face width. B is the face width. And if you calculate the value of B, what you will get, my friend? If you calculate the value of B from this triangle, look at this triangle, my friend. From here to here, this distance will be how much? This distance will be how much, my friend? This distance will be equal to R2 minus R1, right? This distance will be R2 minus R1 and this angle is alpha, right? So this distance, how much this will be? How much this will be? From this triangle you can see B will be equal to how much? B will be equal to R2 minus R1 divided by sine alpha. If you calculate the value of B from this triangle, look at this triangle, this small triangle. So this is R2 minus R1 and this is B and this is alpha. So sine alpha will be equal to B upon R2 minus R1. Okay. So B will be equal to R2 minus R1 by B. Sorry, sine alpha will be R2 minus R1 by B. So B will be equal to R2 minus R1 by sine alpha. This is the face width, my friend. This width, face width where the contact is taking place. Okay. So let's say you are applying a load W. Let's say you are applying a load W from this side. Okay. Let's say you are applying, let's say spring is applying the load W. Okay, spring is applying the load W so that this male cone and female cone are connected together. Okay, the spring is applying the load. This is the spring. This is the spring. The spring is applying the load in this direction W so that the male cone and the female cone are attached together. Okay, so this load is W, the axial load. Okay, and my friend, the pressure will be applied on this inclined surface, right? When they will be connected together, the pressure will be applied on this inclined surface like this. The pressure will be applied on the inclined surface like this, like this, like this, like this. So what will be this pressure, my friend? Let's say the maximum value of pressure is P. Let's say the maximum value of pressure is P. But right now we don't know how this P is distributed. Okay. So what we will do, my friend? In order to calculate the value of W and torque, we will consider a very small strip. We will consider a very small strip. Just like plate clutch. In plate clutch derivation also, we saw that we consider a very small strip at a distance R, and the width of this strip, this width will be dr. So this is, let's say, R, and this is dr, my friend. Okay. So let's consider this strip here also. So if you consider the strip here, this is a very small strip, a very small strip. Okay, like this, like this, like this. Okay, this is the strip, this is the strip. Now my friend, consider this strip, this very small strip. Okay, consider this very small strip. Okay, now my friend, in order to calculate the value of W on this entire surface, what I will do, I will first calculate the value of W on this yellow surface. Okay, very small surface, and then I will integrate it. Okay, I will first calculate the axial load on this yellow surface, and then I will integrate it for the entire surface. Okay, why I am doing this? Because I cannot consider the entire surface right now, because I don't know how the pressure is distributed. So first I will consider this very small yellow strip, and then I will integrate the equation of this yellow strip. So I will get the equation for entire surface. Okay, so what I will do, what will be the area of this yellow surface, my friend? What will be the area, contact area? The contact area, my friend, here, look at this, look at this. Okay, the contact will take place here, my friend. Okay, what I will do, I will zoom this picture. Okay, this picture, my friend, I will zoom this picture, so it will look like this. I will zoom this picture, it will look like this. It will look like this. Okay, so what I am doing, my friend, I am zooming this picture because this is a very small picture. You will not be able to understand from this. Okay, the contact is taking place on this surface, my friend, inclined surface. Okay, right now only consider this yellow thing. Only consider this yellow thing. So when this load W will be applied, the contact will take place on this inclined surface. Consider this very small picture, my friend. I have zoomed it. So my friend, let's say this is the force acting here. Okay, I am applying a load W from this side. I am applying a load W from this side. Okay, so this is the pressure. This is the pressure acting on this very small area, my friend. Okay, so what will be the area, my friend? What will be the area of this inclined surface? What will be the area? What will be this area, my friend? What will be this? What will be this? Let's call it dB. Let's call it dB. Okay, let's call it dB. Let's call it dB. Okay, so this angle is alpha. And what is this, my friend? What is this distance? What is this distance? This distance is, my friend, dr. This distance is dr. Look at this. Look at this. This distance. This distance. Vertical distance is dr. This vertical distance is dr. This vertical distance is dr. This angle is alpha. So what will be the value of this, my friend? dB. What will be the value of dB? The value of dB from this triangle will be equal to dr divided by sine alpha, right? The value of dB, if you calculate from this triangle, this vertical distance, my friend, vertical distance, if you look at the strip from this view, vertical distance, I am assuming dr. So this distance, my friend, where the pressure will be applied will be equal to dB, which is dr by sine alpha, where alpha is what? Semi-cone angle. Okay, alpha is what? Semi-cone angle. Okay, now what will be the area of this element, my friend? Area of the small element, my friend. Area of the small element. Okay, what will be this area, my friend? Let's call it dA. So this area will be equal to how much, my friend? This area will be equal to 2 pi r. This area will be equal to 2 pi r into dB, right? 2 pi r 2 pi r into thickness. And what is the thickness? The thickness is dB, right? The thickness will be dB, this thickness, my friend, 2 pi r into dB, okay? And dB is what? Dr by sine alpha. So I can write it 2 pi r dr by sine alpha. So this is what the area of the element. Now my friend, if this area is very small, dA, then I can assume that the load pressure acting on this is almost constant. The pressure acting on the entire surface is not constant right now, but the pressure acting on this very small surface, this very small yellow surface, can be assumed constant. So I can write the normal force. Normal force, I can write the normal force. The normal force on element. Normal force on element. This normal force, my friend, this normal force. This is the normal force. Let's call it dN. Okay. Normal force means when these two surfaces are attached, the force is acting normal to this area, right? Normal force. Okay. We need normal force in order to calculate friction force. Okay. So normal force, this normal force dN will be equal to how much? I am assuming that the pressure is almost constant. So normal force dN can be written as pressure into area, because I am assuming pressure is almost constant on the yellow surface. So pressure into area will give me normal force, right? So what is the area? 2 pi r dr by sine alpha. Okay, so this is what? The normal force. But we don't want the normal force right now. Okay, normal force will be used in case of friction. But right now I am interested in axial force. Okay, right now I want the axial force, the value of W. So what I am going to do? This is the normal force. I need the axial force. So what I am going to do, my friend? I am going to resolve the force, my friend. I am going to resolve this force, my friend. Let's call it dW. Okay, if you resolve this force into vertical and horizontal component, this angle will be alpha. So what will be dW, my friend? What will be dW? dW will be equal to dN sine alpha, right? Look at this, my friend. dN is the normal force. But what do we need? What are we calculating? We are calculating the axial force. So normal force can be resolved into horizontal and vertical component. So the horizontal component will be equal to dN sine alpha, my friend. So the axial force on the element, the axial force on the element, dW is equal to how much? dN sine alpha, right? So I can write P into 2 pi r dr divided by sine alpha into sine alpha. Now this sine alpha and sine alpha will be cancelled. So what will you get, my friend? You will get dW equals to P into 2 pi r dr. And my friend, if you integrate it, what you will get? If you integrate it, you will get W. W will be integration R1 to R2 dW, means W will be equals to integration R1 to R2 P into 2 pi R dr. This is the equation of W, axial force, my friend. This is the equation of axial force. First we calculated the normal force. Pressure into area will give you normal force. But we don't want the normal force right now. We want the axial force. So we resolved normal force into axial force, dN sine alpha. So we are getting this equation. Now my friend, if you compare it with single plate clutch, this is a very similar equation. This is the same equation of single plate clutch. Do you remember the equation of single plate clutch? W equation, R1 to R2 P into 2 pi R dr, right? That was the equation of W in case of plate clutch also, single plate clutch. So what have we concluded? W of cone clutch is equal to W of single plate clutch, right? W of cone clutch is equal to W of single plate clutch. If you integrate this equation, you will get the same values as we got from the single plate clutch, right? So the W of cone clutch is equal to W of single plate clutch. This we have concluded, this we have derived. This equation is same as single plate clutch. So W of cone clutch is equal to W of single plate clutch, right? Now we need to calculate the torque also. We have calculated W. Now we need to calculate torque. Now in order to calculate torque, we need friction force. And what is friction force, my friend? Friction force on element. Friction force on element. Friction force on element. dF. Let's call it dF will be equal to mu into normal force, right? Friction force will be equal to mu into normal force. So it will be equal to mu into, put the value of dN. What is the value of dN? dN is the normal force. Okay, friction force is mu into normal force. So put the value of dN. It is P into 2 pi r dr by sine alpha. This is the friction force. Okay, this friction force is acting here, my friend. This friction force is acting here. The friction force is acting here, like this, my friend, like this, my friend. Okay, here, here, here. The friction force is parallel to surface. Normal force is perpendicular to surface. Friction force is parallel to surface. So it is acting like this. Okay, these are what? These are the friction forces, my friend. dF. Okay, these are the friction forces. dF, dF, dF. Okay, and where they are acting, my friend? At what distance dF is acting? dF is acting at r distance. So how much torque it will develop, my friend? dF. How much torque it will develop? dF is acting like this, parallel to surface. If this is the surface, dF is acting parallel to surface. So how much torque it will develop, my friend? dF into r. So torque transferred by the element. Torque transferred by the element, yellow element. Okay, we are first calculating the equation for the yellow element and then we integrate it. So dt will be equal to what? dF friction force multiplied by r. So what will be the equation of dt, my friend? What will be the equation of dt? dt will be equal to dF into r. So it will become mu into p into 2 pi r square dr by sine alpha, right? This is the equation of torque transferred by what? Yellow element, this yellow element. Okay, but we need the torque transferred by the entire element. So what we are going to do now? We are going to integrate this equation of torque. Okay, so if you integrate it, torque transferred by entire element, torque transferred by entire friction surface, torque transferred by entire friction surface. How much torque we will get, my friend? T will be integration of dt from r1 to r2. So if you integrate it, what you will get? r1 to r2 mu into p into 2 pi r square dr divided by sine alpha. Are you getting this, my friend? Are you getting this? Yes, we are getting this. Now, my friend, look at this equation. This equation is very similar to equation of single plate clutch, but there is only one difference, my friend. This equation, entire equation is very similar to single plate clutch, but there is only one difference. Integration r1 to r2 mu p 2 pi r square dr. This is similar, but this sine alpha is additional, my friend. So what you can write? What you can write? T of cone clutch. T of cone clutch will be equal to T of single plate clutch divided by sine alpha. Can you write this? Can you write this? Because my friend, entire equation is same. Only one difference is there. 1 upon sine alpha, right? Only this sine alpha is extra. The other elements are same. The other parameters are same. Only this value is extra. So I can write T of cone clutch equal to T of single plate clutch divided by sine alpha. So my friend, you don't need to remember the equation of cone clutch. Just remember the equation of single plate clutch and divide the equation by sine alpha. You will get the equation for cone clutch, my friend. Okay, so you don't have to memorize extra equation. Okay, W of cone clutch is equal to W of single plate clutch, but T of cone clutch is equal to T of single plate clutch divided by sine alpha, my friend. Okay, now my friend, look at this. 1 upon sine alpha. Put any value of alpha. Put any value of alpha. This 1 upon sine alpha will always be greater than 1, right? Put any value of alpha. Let's put alpha equals to 30 degree. Let's put, for example, this is just an example, okay? Let alpha equals to 30 degree, right? So 1 upon sine 30. 1 upon sine 30. How much it will be, my friend? How much it will be? It will be equal to 2. Sine 30 is 1 by 2. So 1 upon sine 30 will be 2. So T of cone clutch will be equal to 2 times of T of single plate clutch, right? So that means put any value of alpha, T of cone clutch will always be greater than T of single plate clutch. Okay, T of cone clutch will always be greater than T of single plate clutch. Do you understand this concept, my friend? Do you understand this concept? T of cone clutch will always be greater than T of single plate clutch, my friend. Okay, T of cone clutch is always greater than T of single plate clutch. Why, my friend? I gave you the logical explanation, right? I gave you the logical explanation before. In case of plate clutch, the contact takes place on this surface, and in case of cone clutch, the contact takes place on this surface. Now look at these two surfaces, my friend. Which one will have a greater area? Which one will have a greater area? This one will have a greater area because it is inclined. Look at this length. Look at this length. It is greater than this length, right? So that's why the contact area is more, friction is more, so torque is more, right? Here we have derived the equation, and from equation you can see T of cone clutch will be equal to T of single plate clutch divided by sine alpha. Put any value of alpha, you will see that T of cone clutch is greater than T of single plate clutch. Now if you reduce the value of alpha, what will happen, my friend? If you reduce the value of alpha, then my friend, T of cone clutch will increase. Put alpha equals to 20 degree. Put alpha equals to 20 degree, my friend. What is 1 upon sine 20? What is 1 upon sine 20? Let's calculate. Okay. 1 upon sine 30 is 2. 1 upon sine 20 will be how much? 1 upon sine 20 degree will be equal to 1 upon sine 20. 1 upon sine 20 will be equal to 2.9, my friend. 1 upon sine 30 is 2. 1 upon sine 20 is 2.9. 1 upon sine 15 will be how much, my friend? 1 upon sine 15 will be 3.86. So if you are reducing the value of alpha, then T of cone clutch will be increasing, my friend. So I can say as alpha reduces, T of cone clutch increases. As alpha reduces, T of cone clutch increases, my friend. Okay, as alpha reduces, T of cone clutch increases. But my friend, alpha cannot be equal to or less than. But alpha cannot be equal to or less than phi, where phi is what, my friend? Phi is known as friction angle, my friend. Phi is known as friction angle. You might have studied it in engineering mechanics. Phi is what? Friction angle. Phi is tan inverse of mu. Okay, so alpha should not reduce to mu. Alpha should be as less as possible, because if alpha is less, t will be more, but alpha should not be equal to or less than phi. It should always be greater than phi. Otherwise what will happen? Otherwise what will happen? If, my friend, if alpha becomes less than or equal to phi, clutch becomes self engaged. Now what is self engaged, my friend? See, in order to engage the clutch, you need some force. This force is applied by what? Spring. Okay, in order to engage the clutch, you need spring force. Then only this clutch is engaged, right? In order to engage the clutch, you need to apply some force in this direction, spring force. Okay, and if you want to disengage, then you press the pedal and you apply an opposite force. In order to disengage, you press the pedal and there is an opposite force, so it disengages, right? So in order to engage the clutch, you need some force which is provided by the spring force. But my friend, if alpha is less than or equal to phi, clutch does not need any force. If alpha is less than or equal to phi, clutch does not need any force and it becomes self-engaged. But what is the problem with self-engaged? If clutch becomes self-engaged, then even if you apply the load on pedal, it will not detach, my friend. It will not detach, it will not disengage. Okay, it will remain engaged. So it will remain stuck, my friend. Whatever force you will apply, it will not disengage. So that's why alpha must always be greater than phi. If alpha becomes less than or equal to phi, clutch will become self-engaged. What is self-engaged? In order to engage the clutch, we need some axial force. But if you don't need any axial force, then it is called self-engaged. So clutch should never become self-engaged. Just like brakes. In case of brakes, what happens, my friend? In case of brakes, sometimes the brake becomes self-locked, right? So in the same way, clutch becomes self-engaged, and even if you apply any load, it does not disengage. So that's why clutch should never become self-engaged. Alpha should always be greater than phi. So alpha should be less, but it should always be greater than phi, my friend. Okay, so usually the value of cone angle is 25 degree, and if cone angle is 25 degree, alpha will be 12.5. Cone angle is 2 alpha. Cone angle is 2 alpha. So alpha will be 12.5. So do you understand this logic, my friend? You can get theory question based on this. What can be the minimum value of alpha? So alpha should always be greater than phi, where phi is what? Friction angle, tan inverse of mu. Okay, you study this in engineering mechanics. Tan inverse of mu. Mu is coefficient of friction. So phi is tan inverse of mu. So alpha should always be greater than phi. Do you understand this? So my friend, you don't need to memorize any extra equation. Okay, if you memorize the equation of single plate clutch, W of cone clutch is equal to W of single plate clutch, and torque of cone clutch is equal to torque of single plate clutch divided by sine alpha. That's it. That's it, my friend. Okay. So let's solve some numerical, my friend, based on this cone clutch. So look at this numerical, my friend. Look at this numerical. A cone clutch has inner radius 100 mm, outer radius 200 mm. R1 is 100, R2 is 200, and cone angle 25 degrees. Cone angle is what? Cone angle is what? 2 alpha. It is not alpha. Okay. People usually make this mistake. So remember this. Cone angle is 2 alpha. So 2 alpha is 25. So what is alpha? 12.5. Coefficient of friction is 0.25 and maximum pressure is 0.5 megapascal. Assuming uniform pressure theory, find the torque transferred by the clutch. Okay, assuming uniform pressure theory, find the torque transferred by the clutch. Okay, so you look at this question. Solve this question, my friend. You just have to put the values in the equation. Okay, you just have to put the values in the equation. So all the values are given. All the values are given. Put the values in the equation and find the torque. Find the torque, my friend. What values are given? R1 is how much? R1 is how much? 100 mm. R2 is how much? 200 mm. Okay, inner radius and outer radius. Okay, cone angle is 25 degrees. So what is alpha? Alpha is half, 12.5 degree. Mu is 0.25 and maximum pressure is given, my friend, 0.5 megapascal. Okay, so these values are given. You just have to put the values in the equation and use uniform pressure theory. Okay, they have mentioned you have to use in uniform pressure theory. Find the torque transfer, my friend. Find the torque transfer. Quickly give me the answer. Quickly give me the answer, my friend. Find the torque transfer. Find the torque transfer. You have the value, just put the value in the equation and find the torque transfer. What is the equation, my friend? What is the equation? What is the equation? T of cone clutch is equal to T of single plate clutch divided by sine alpha, right? Now according to uniform pressure theory, what is the equation of torque, my friend? According to uniform pressure theory, what is the equation of torque? It is this: mu into P into 2 by 3 pi R2 cube minus R1 cube. This is for single plate clutch and you have to divide it by sine alpha. Okay, so just put the values in the equation, my friend. Just put the values in the equation. So what is the value of mu? It is 0.25. What is the value of pressure? 0.5. Okay, into 2 by 3 pi. What is R2? 200. What is R1? 100. Sorry. What is R1, my friend? 100 divided by sine alpha, sine 12.5. Okay, so what will you get? My friend? Tell me the answer. What will be the value of torque, my friend? Just put the values and solve the equation and tell me the answer. Put the values in the equation and solve it and tell me the answer, my friend. So it is 0.25. It is 0.25 into 0.5 into 2 by 3 pi R2 cube minus R1 cube divided by sine alpha. Okay, so how much are you getting, my friend? How much torque are you getting? So I am getting, how much torque are you getting? Wait a minute. So I am getting this value, my friend, 0.25 into 0.5 into 2 by 3 pi R2 cube minus R1 cube divided by sine alpha. I am getting this 8467006. 8467006 Newton mm, my friend. So in Newton meter it will become 8467.006 Newton meter. So this is the torque transfer, my friend. This is the torque transferred by the cone clutch. Okay, so you don't have to memorize any extra equation. Just divide the equation of single plate clutch by sine alpha. That's all you need to do. Okay, so have you understood this, my friend? Cone clutch, very similar to single plate clutch. The only difference is contact takes place on inclined surface. Okay, in case of plate clutch, contact takes place on vertical surface, and here contact takes place on inclined surface. Okay, so this was all about cone clutch. Now let's move on to the next type of clutch, which is centrifugal clutch. We have seen single plate clutch, multi-plate clutch and cone clutch. This is the next type of clutch, which is known as centrifugal clutch, my friend. Okay, so let's understand how centrifugal clutch works. Now centrifugal clutch is very different than plate clutch and cone clutch. Okay, in plate clutch and cone clutch, the working principle is similar. You apply a load W. Okay, the spring applies the load W. The plates are connected. In case of plate clutch, they are like this. In case of cone clutch, they are like this. Okay. In case of centrifugal clutch, the working principle and the concept is completely different. Okay. So let's first understand what are the parts of centrifugal clutch. Okay. So my friend, there is this driving shaft and this driven shaft. Okay. Driving shaft is this. Driving shaft is this. Driving shaft is this. And this is the driven shaft. Okay, this is the driven shaft. Okay, this surface, can you see this? Can you see this? This is the drum. Let's say this is the drum. Let's call it drum. Okay, let's call this drum. Okay, this is the drum which is attached to the driven shaft. Okay, this is the drum which is attached to the driven shaft. Okay, now my friend, driving shaft and driven shaft are connected by means of these blocks which are also known as shoes. Do you see this, my friend? This is the shoe. This is the shoe. This is the shoe. This is the shoe, my friend. You can also call it block. Okay, this is also the shoe. Can you see this in this picture, my friend? Okay, this is the side view and this is the front view. Can you see this, my friend? These are the shoes. 1 shoe, 2 shoe, 3 shoe, 4 shoe. Okay, and there is friction lining on the shoe. There is friction lining on the shoe. So my friend, here the driving shaft and the driven shaft. This is the driving shaft and this drum is the driven shaft. Okay, this is the driving shaft and this is the driven shaft. They both are connected by means of shoes. There are 4 shoes. So when the driving shaft will rotate, what will happen? These shoes will also rotate. When the driving shaft will rotate, these shoes will also rotate. If the shoe is connected to the drum, then the drum will also rotate. Okay, when the driving shaft will rotate, these shoes will also rotate, and when these shoes will get connected to the drum, right now they are not connected. Can you see? There is gap between shoe and drum. So right now they are not connected, but if they get connected, then the drum will also rotate. So do you understand? Let's understand using an animation, my friend. Okay. Let's understand using an animation. You will be able to understand better using an animation. Okay. So let's understand. First, look at the construction. So this is the driving member and this green part is the driven member. Okay. This white part is the driving member and the green part is the driven member. Okay. Then my friend, this are the shoes, brake shoes. Okay, this purple part are the brake shoes which are connected by means of spring. These shoes are connected by means of springs. Okay, shoes are connected by means of springs. Then my friend, there is friction lining between the shoe and the drum. Okay, driven member, shoe and the driven member, there is friction lining. Why do we need friction lining? I told you, because the coefficient of friction should be very high. Okay, so do you understand this much, my friend? Understand the construction first. Understand the construction. This is the driving member. The white part, green part is the driven member. The purple part are the shoes which are connected to driving member by means of spring. The purple part are the shoes which are connected to driving member by means of springs. So when they are not connected, when driving shaft and driven shaft are not connected, see right now, when this will start to rotate, when the driving shaft will start to rotate, shoes are rotating, but the drum is not rotating. Because right now shoes are not pressing the drum. Shoes are rotating, but the drum is not rotating. Do you understand this? Shoes are rotating, but the drum is not rotating. Okay. Now my friend, what will happen? If you increase the speed, what will happen? If you increase the speed, what will happen, my friend? If you increase the speed, then there will be centrifugal force on this shoe. There will be centrifugal force. Do you understand what is centrifugal force? If you connect a stone with a rope, and you start rotating the stone with the rope, okay, in a circular path. Start rotating the stone with the rope in a circular path. Then the stone experiences an outward force. Okay, if you are rotating the stone in a circular path, the stone is subjected to an outward force. There is an outward force applied on the stone. That outward force is known as centrifugal force. Do you understand this much, my friend? So when this shoe will start rotating, it will be subjected to centrifugal force, right? That centrifugal force will attach the shoe with the drum, and then the drum will also start rotating. Look at this. Now it is connected, my friend. Initially it was not connected. See, when the shoe will start to rotate, initially centrifugal force is less, but as the speed will increase, centrifugal force will also increase. As the speed will increase, centrifugal force will also increase, and then, my friend, what will happen? At one point, the shoe will get attached to the drum. See, initially this is rotating, but the speed is less, centrifugal force is less. If you increase the speed, centrifugal force will also increase. What is centrifugal force? Mr omega square. Centrifugal force is mr omega square. So if omega is increasing, omega is radial velocity. So if omega is increasing, centrifugal force will also increase, and after some speed, this will attach. See, it is attached now. See, right now it is not attached, but as the speed will increase, centrifugal force will increase and it will get attached, and the driven member will start to rotate. So do you understand the working principle, my friend? The shoe is attached to the driving member. The shoe is attached to the driving member. Initially shoe is rotating, right? But it is not connected to the drum. But if you increase the speed, centrifugal force will be applied on the shoe, and after a speed, it will attach to the drum, and the drum will start to rotate, my friend. Do you understand this much? So centrifugal clutch, my friend, is an automatic clutch. Why? Because here, my friend, the force required for the engagement is automatically applied. You are not applying any force. The force is automatically applied by the speed, my friend. Here the load for the engagement is applied by the speed, and this type of clutch is an automatic clutch, my friend. Okay, here what will happen? If the speed is less, it will not be engaged, but if you increase the speed, it will automatically engage, my friend. If you increase the speed, it will automatically engage, my friend. So do you understand this much? How centrifugal clutch works, my friend? Initially, when the speed is low, it will not attach, but if you increase the speed, then it will get attached to the drum. So the working here is based on the speed of the shoe. Right now, the force required for engagement is developed by the speed of this driving member, my friend. So this type of clutch is an automatic clutch. You are not applying the force. Who is applying the force? Centrifugal force is applied by the speed, my friend. Okay, centrifugal force is created by the speed. So this is an automatic clutch. Where do you see this type of clutch? You see this type of clutch in mopeds, scooty, Activa, in these type of bikes, my friend. Scooty, Activa, in these type of mopeds. What happens when you start the engine? Speed is low, so it will not automatically attach, it will not automatically engage. Okay, but if you accelerate, it automatically engages. You don't press the clutch. In case of scooty or Activa, do you know, is there any clutch, my friend? No. What happens? If you increase the speed, it will automatically engage. If you reduce the speed, it will automatically disengage. Okay, so engagement and disengagement is automatic, my friend. It is based on the speed, my friend. If you increase the speed, after one point, it will automatically engage, and if you reduce the speed, it will automatically disengage. So do you understand this, my friend? You see this type of clutch in scooty, Activa, these type of mopeds, my friend. Okay, in these type of mopeds, centrifugal clutch is there. So if you increase the speed, when you start the engine, the speed is low, so it will not engage. But if you increase the speed, if you accelerate it, it will automatically engage. Why it will automatically engage? Because centrifugal force will act, which will connect the shoe. Right now, see, this is connected. See, Initially, at low speed, it is disconnected. But if you increase the speed, this shoe will be subjected to centrifugal force and it will start to engage. See, shoe will be subjected to centrifugal force. See, shoe is subjected to centrifugal force, so it is engaged. And now the driven member will start to rotate. Okay. So do you understand the working principle, my friend? Now, my friend, let's derive the equation of torque here. Let's derive the equation of torque here. Okay. So consider one shoe. Consider one shoe. Okay. And this is the drum. Okay. I am taking one shoe. Okay. I am taking one shoe. Consider only this much part. Okay. Consider only this much part. I am only considering this much part. Consider only this much part. Okay. Consider only this much part. Do you understand? I am considering only this much part. Okay. One shoe. This is part of the drum. Okay. All right, my friend. Now, my friend, let's say this is the shoe. It is attached to the spring and this is the drum. Okay. What forces will act here, my friend? What forces will act here? Let's understand. Okay. So let's say we have just started the engine. Let's say we have just started the engine. So when you will start the engine, speed will be low. Okay. What forces will act on the shoe, my friend? This is the center of gravity of the shoe. So the forces will be acting at the center of gravity. So one force will be acting like this. This will be what force, my friend? This will be the centrifugal force. Fc is what? Fc is what? Fc is the centrifugal force. Fc is the centrifugal force. Centrifugal force which is acting outward. Okay. We have just started the engine. Speed is low. Centrifugal force is acting outward, my friend. But, my friend, this shoe is connected to the spring. So it will also be subjected to the spring force which will be acting downward, my friend. The spring force will be acting downward. It is connected to the spring also, na? So the spring will also apply some force. Let's call this force Fs. Let's call this force Fs. So what is Fs, my friend? What is Fs? It is spring force. Okay. So understand this much, my friend. Understand this very clearly. When the speed is low, centrifugal force is also low. Okay. And initially, if you apply equilibrium equation, Fc will be equal to Fs, my friend. Fc will be equal to Fs. So what is the net force on the shoe? What is the net force on the shoe? Tell me what is the net force on the shoe. Fc and Fs, they both are equal and they both are opposite. So what is the net force, my friend? Net force will be equal to how much? Fc minus Fs, right? Net force will be equal to how much? Fc minus Fs. And if Fc and Fs both are equal, then the net force will be equal to how much? 0. Right? Initially when the speed is low, Fc and Fs both will be equal. Okay, initially when the speed is low, there is one force Fc acting outward, one force Fs acting inward. Both the forces are equal and opposite. So net force will be equal to 0. Right? Now what will happen? If you increase the speed, Fc will also increase, Fs will also increase. If you increase the speed, Fc will also increase, Fs will also increase. Okay? Do you understand this much? Now, my friend, the spring has a limited amount of force. It can only apply a maximum value of force. It cannot go beyond that. Let's say maximum spring force. Let's say maximum spring force is 100 Newton. For example, let's say maximum spring force is 100 Newton. Okay. So let's say we are increasing the speed. Fc is increasing. Fs is also increasing. We are increasing the speed. Fc is increasing. Fs is also increasing. And it reaches 100 Newton. We started from 0. We are increasing the speed. Fc is increasing from 0. Fs is also equally increasing. Initially both will be equal. Okay. Both are equally increasing. and they will reach 100 Newton. Okay, from 0 to 100 Newton. Now my friend, this is the maximum value of Fs. Okay, this is the maximum value of spring force Fs. So Fs can't go beyond 100 Newton. But if you increase the speed, Fc will go beyond 100. Right? Do you understand this much? Initially the speed is 0. Initially the speed is 0. Both the forces are 0. Now I am increasing the speed. Both the forces are equally increasing. They will reach 100. Now Fs will stop increasing, because this is the maximum value of Fs. It cannot go beyond this value. So if you increase the speed, after this, what will happen? Only Fc will increase. Fs will remain there. Fc will increase. So now let's say Fs is 150 Newton. Fs is 100, Fc is 150 Newton. Let's say I am increasing the speed beyond 100 Newton. So now Fc is increased 150, but Fs will remain there, because this is the maximum value of Fs, maximum spring force 100. So this is now 150 and this is 100. So now my friend, the net force will be equal to how much? 50 Newton. Net force will be equal to how much? 50 Newton. Up to 100, net force will be 0, because Fc and Fs both will be equal. So 0 to 100, Fc and Fs both will be equal. So net force will be 0. But after 100 Newton, Fc will increase and Fs will remain 100. So now there is a net force. This force will attach the shoe with the drum, my friend. Okay, this force will attach the shoe with the drum. There must be some force acting between shoe and drum now. Then only it will engage. There must be some force acting between shoe and drum. Then only it will engage. Initially, that force was 0. But now, there is a force of 50 Newton. Now Fc is 150, Fs is 100. So now there is a force of 50 Newton which will engage the clutch, my friend. Which will engage the clutch. Do you understand, my friend? Do you understand how it is working, my friend? Do you understand how it is working? Initially, the speed is low. Fc, Fs, both are equal. Okay, now I am increasing the speed. Both are equally increasing. Okay, so both are equally increasing. Now my friend, let's say Fs becomes maximum. So after this, if you will increase the speed, only Fc will increase. Fs will remain there. So now there will be a net force, my friend. Now there will be a net force, and this net force will engage the clutch, my friend. So do you understand this working, my friend? Do you understand this working? So what we will do, my friend, we will derive the equation of torque. Okay. So let's say Fc is centrifugal force, Fs is spring force. What is this Rd, my friend? Rd is inner radius of drum. Rd is what? Inner radius of drum. What is Rg, my friend? Rg is the radius of center of gravity, because the forces will be acting at the center of gravity. Okay. So what is the distance of force from center of gravity? Rg. Distance of force from center of gravity is Rg, my friend. Okay. So Rg is radius of CG of shoe. Okay, my friend. Let's say M is the mass of shoe. One shoe. We are talking about one shoe. Okay. And let's say there are n number of shoes. Okay. In the diagram, I considered 4 number of shoes. Okay. So n will be equal to 4. Okay. N will be equal to 4. Okay. So let's say there are n number of shoes. Okay. So Rd, Rg, M, N. Let's say omega 1. Omega is radial velocity, radian per second. So omega 1 is, let's say, the speed at which engagement starts. Speed at which engagement starts. Okay. So up to 100 Newton, from 0 to, I am assuming that maximum spring force is 100. So up to 100 Newton, there is no engagement, because Fc and Fs both are equal. After 100 Newton, it will engage. So at which speed it will engage? omega 1. Okay, the speed at which spring force becomes maximum. So you can also call it speed at which Fs is maximum, spring force is maximum. Okay, Fs is what? Spring force. So the omega 1 is the speed at which spring force becomes maximum. Up to this speed, from 0 to omega 1, no engagement, because Fc and Fs both are equal. But after omega 1, Fc will increase, Fs will remain maximum. So now there will be net force which will engage. Okay, omega 2 is, let's say, running speed. Running speed means this is the speed at which the clutch is running. Okay, and it is greater than omega 1, means it has engaged. Okay, omega 2 is greater than omega 1 means it has engaged. If omega 2 is less than omega 1, no engagement. If omega 2 is greater than omega 1, then only engagement. Okay, if omega 2 is less than omega 1, less than or equal to omega 1, no engagement. Okay, no engagement, because Fc and Fs both will be equal. If omega 2 is greater than omega 1, engagement, means clutch will start. Okay, so let omega 2 be greater than omega 1. Okay, let's assume omega 2 is greater than omega 1. Okay, let's assume omega 2 is greater than omega 1. Okay, I am here writing, let's omega 2 be greater than omega 1, means clutch is engaged. Okay, so at this speed, at omega 2, what will be the centrifugal force? What will be the centrifugal force? What will be the centrifugal force, my friend? For one shoe I am talking about. For one shoe. What will be the centrifugal force? What is the equation of centrifugal force? mr omega square. Okay, mr omega square. Which r, my friend? Rd or Rg? Which r? Rg. Center of gravity. Center of gravity is at a distance Rg, my friend. Center of gravity is at a distance Rg. Okay, so this r will be Rg omega 2 square. Okay, mrg omega 2 square. What will be Fs, my friend? What will be Fs? Will Fs be mrg omega 2 square? No, because Fs will become maximum at omega 1. Fs will become maximum at omega 1. After that it will not increase. After omega 1 only Fc will increase. Fs will not increase. So Fs will be equal to mrg omega 1 square. Up to this speed it was equal to Fc. Up to omega 1 it was equal to Fc. After this Fc is increasing, Fs is not increasing. So what is Fs, my friend? At omega 2 speed, what is Fs? mrg omega 1 square. This is maximum spring force. This is the maximum spring force. Okay, this is the maximum spring force. So what is the net force? Net force between shoe and drum. What is the net force, my friend? Normal force, N. What is the net normal force, my friend? Fc minus Fs. Okay, normal force will be Fc minus Fs. So you put the value here, what you will get? mrg omega 2 square minus omega 1 square. This is what? The net normal force. This is the normal force. Okay, so what will be the friction force, my friend? Friction force will be acting here like this. Friction force will be acting like this. Friction force will be acting here like this. Let's call it F. Let's call it F. F is what? Friction force. Okay, so what is the friction force? Mu times normal force. Okay, friction force will be mu times normal force. So friction force between shoe and drum, F will be equals to mu into normal force, means mu into mrg omega 2 square minus omega 1 square. This is what? Friction force. Okay, normal force is Fc minus Fs. Friction force is mu times of normal force, and this friction force is acting here between the shoe and the drum. Okay, between the shoe and the drum. What is the distance of friction force from the center? Rd. Distance of friction force from the center, Rd. So how much torque it will apply? How much torque friction force will apply? F into Rd. F into Rd. So torque transferred by one shoe. Right now we are calculating for one shoe. Torque transferred by one shoe will be equal to friction force into Rd. Okay, distance of friction force from center is Rd. So friction force into Rd. So what you will get, my friend? Mu into m into Rg into Rd, omega 2 square minus omega 1 square. Do you understand this? Friction force is F. Torque will be friction force into distance. So this is the equation of torque by one shoe. And how many shoes do we have? Number of shoes is n. Number of shoes is n. So total torque will be, how much will be total torque? How much will be total torque, my friend? Total torque transferred by n number of shoes. Total torque transferred by n number of shoes. T will be equal to n multiply by this. This is the torque transferred by one shoe, and there are n number of shoes like this. Okay, so total torque transfer will be n into mu into m into Rd Rg omega 2 square minus omega 1 square. This is the equation of torque transferred by centrifugal clutch. This is the equation of torque transferred by centrifugal clutch. Do you understand this, my friend? It is very easy to remember, my friend. Multiply everything into omega 2 square minus omega 1 square. Very easy. Multiply everything into omega 2 square minus omega 1 square. Do you understand this, my friend? Do you understand this? So this is the equation of torque transferred by centrifugal clutch, my friend. Equation of torque transferred by centrifugal clutch, where n is number of shoes, mu is coefficient of friction, m is mass of one shoe, Rd is inner radius of drum, Rg is radius of CG of shoe, omega 2 is running speed, omega 1 is the speed at which engagement starts, or you can call the speed at which spring force becomes maximum. So this is the equation of the torque transferred by centrifugal clutch. Do you understand this, my friend? Do you understand this much? So you only need to remember this one equation in case of centrifugal clutch. Okay, one equation. Let's solve one problem, my friend. Let's solve one problem. So this is the problem. Read this problem and try to solve this problem, my friend. So what is the problem? A centrifugal clutch consists of 4 shoes, each having a mass of 1.5 kg. M is 1.5 kg. Okay. In the engaged position, radius of center of gravity of each shoe is 110 mm. What is this? This is Rg, radius of center of gravity. While the inner radius of drum is 140. This is Rd. Coefficient of friction is 0.3. Mu is 0.3. Preload in the spring is adjusted in such a way that the spring force at the beginning of engagement is 700 Newton. What is this, my friend? Spring force at the beginning of engagement means this is the maximum spring force. Okay, spring force at the beginning of engagement means maximum spring force 700 Newton. Running speed is 1440 rpm. Okay, calculate first speed at which engagement begins. You have to first calculate speed at which engagement begins. Second, power transmitted at 1440 rpm. Okay, you have to calculate power, and in order to calculate power you need torque. Okay, so calculate torque, then put the value of torque in the equation of power. So solve this, my friend. All the values are given. All the values are given. What values are given, my friend? What values are given? M value is given. M is equal to 1.5 kg. Then Rg is given 110. Rg is 110 mm. Then Rd, my friend, Rd is given 140. Then mu is given 0.3. Mu is given 0.3. Then the speed, the spring force at the beginning of engagement is given, my friend. So maximum spring force is given. Maximum spring force is given. Maximum spring force is given 700 Newton. At the beginning of engagement, spring force becomes maximum, right? So this is 700 Newton. What is maximum spring force, my friend? Maximum spring force is this much. mrg omega 1 square. Maximum spring force is mrg omega 1 square. Okay, so this is mrg omega 1 square. And what is given? Speed, running speed is given, but it is given in rpm. N2 is in rpm, 1440 rpm. So you can calculate it in radian per second. Okay, how we will calculate in radian per second? Omega will be equal to 2 pi n by 60. Omega is 2 pi n by 60. Okay, so calculate omega. N is given, rpm is given, you can convert it in omega. So omega will be how much, my friend? 2 pi 1440 by 60. It is 150.8. 150.8 radian per second. Okay, 2 pi n by 60. Okay, now what do you need to calculate? First you need to calculate speed at which engagement begins. Means you need to calculate omega 1. Okay, you need to calculate omega 1. So how will you calculate omega 1, my friend? What is given in order to calculate omega 1? In order to calculate omega 1, this is given 700 Newton. Speed at which engagement force at which engagement starts, 700 Newton. Maximum spring force, and maximum spring force is how much? mrg omega 1 square. Okay, maximum spring force is mrg omega 1 square. Maximum spring force, Fs equals to mrg omega 1 square, which is given 700 Newton. Okay, put the value here. M is 1.5 kg. How much is Rg, my friend? 110 mm. So I will put it in meter. 0.1 meter. Omega 1 square. This is unknown, equal to 700 Newton. So from here I will get the value of omega 1. Okay, I will get the value of omega 1. So it is 700 divided by 0.15, right? Root over this answer. Root over answer. 68.31 radian per second. 68.31 radian per second. You can convert it in RPM, my friend. You can convert it in RPM. N1. Omega will be 2 pi n by 60. Omega will be equal to 2 pi n by 60. So you can convert it in RPM. 60 divided by 2 pi. So 652.3. 652.3 RPM. This is the speed at which engagement starts. 652.3 RPM. This is the speed at which engagement starts. And what is the running speed? Running speed is 1440 RPM or 150.8 radian per second. So the second thing you need to calculate is the torque. Okay, let's calculate the torque. Let's calculate the torque, my friend. Let's calculate the torque. So how will we calculate the torque? How will we calculate the torque? The equation of torque is this much. Equation of torque is this. T equals to N into mu into M into Rd into Rg into omega 2 square minus omega 1 square. I told you, very easy to remember. Just multiply everything in omega 2 square minus omega 1 square. Okay. Put the value of N. 4 number of shoes. Mu is how much? Mu is 0.3. M is 1.5. Rd, radius of drum, 140 mm. So 0.14 meter. Rg is 0.11 meter. Omega 2 is 150.8 and omega 1 is 68.31. So from here you will get the value of torque. Solve this and find the value of torque. So 4 into 0.3 into 1.5 into 0.14 into 0.11 into 150.8 square minus 68.31 square. So what are you getting? 501.02 Newton meter. I have put these values in mm, so it will be Newton meter. Sorry, I have put these values in meter, so Newton meter. But we need power. P equals to 2 pi nt by 60 or omega into t. Okay, omega into t. If you have omega value, directly omega into t. So 150.8 multiplied by 501.02. 150.8 multiplied by 501.02. How much are you getting? 75554. 75554 watt, or you can write it 75.55 kilowatt. This is the answer, my friend. 75.55 kilowatt. So this is the power transferred, my friend. Okay, torque will be this. So we have calculated torque. T into omega is power. Okay, you can put omega equals to 2 pi n by 60, so it becomes 2 pi nt by 60. Otherwise, directly put omega. T into omega power. Okay, so do you understand this much, my friend? So do you understand what we have seen today, my friend? We have seen today what is cone clutch, how the cone clutch works. We derived the equation for cone clutch. W of cone equals to W of single plate clutch. T of cone equals to T of single plate clutch divided by sine alpha. Then we saw the numerical. Then we saw working of centrifugal clutch. In case of centrifugal clutch, you don't apply the force. In case of centrifugal clutch, the force is applied by the speed. So it is an automatic clutch. Where it is used? Scooty, Activa, in these type of vehicles. And this is the equation of torque. Very easy to remember. Multiply everything in omega 2 square minus omega 1 square. Okay, and then we solved a numerical. So this was all for today's class, my friend, and this is the end of clutch. In the next chapter we will start a new element, a new machine element. Okay, now my friend, these are my contact details. If you want to contact me regarding your career, regarding your preparations, then you can contact me on these. This is my email ID, Facebook ID, Instagram ID. Okay, so you can always contact me for any guidance. Then my friend, I told you that this is only the trailer. Whatever we are studying here, this is only trailer, my friend. We don't get a lot of time on YouTube. So if we can't cover everything here on YouTube, why we don't cover everything on YouTube? Because my friend, YouTube is not a specially designed platform for learning. This is not online learning platform. This is an entertainment platform which we are using for learning. But we can't use this for proper learning. For proper learning, you have to come to a platform which is specially designed for learning, which is Unacademy Plus, my friend. A lot of educators are teaching on Unacademy Plus because, my friend, we feel that we can provide you a lot on this platform. Okay, this is the only reason why we call you on this platform, because we think that we can provide you a lot on Unacademy Plus platform. If you don't believe me, take some special classes. Special classes are free of cost. take some special classes, you will understand why this is different from YouTube, my friend. Okay, so here you will have daily live classes in both Hindi and English. No language barrier, no communication barrier. Crash courses will be there. Rank improvement batch, I told you, new batch is starting from 1st June. New batch is starting from 1st June. I will be teaching all the design subjects, okay, like this. I will teach even more concepts. I will try to do even more numericals, okay. This is just 50%, not even 50%. I will teach everything, new concepts, new numericals on Unacademy Plus. The batch will start from 1st June, my friend. There will be doubt clearing session. Every fourth lecture is doubt clearing, and there are weekly tests, my friend. Based on your week's syllabus, every week there is a test, my friend, and there are multiple batches, my friend. Multiple batches running. See, there are multiple batches provided by different group of teachers, my friend. Lot of teachers are there. Multiple batches. You take one subscription, you can join any batch. You can even join multiple batches. Let's say you are joining all 6 batches. Join. Watch all the lectures. It is up to you, my friend. Okay. My friend, what is the difference between whiteboard learning and online learning? If you are thinking that the whiteboard learning is better, look at these images. Are they possible on whiteboard? No, my friend. So this type of visualization is not possible on whiteboard, my friend. So the advantage of online learning is the type of visualization you get. How easily you will be able to understand things by visualizing them, my friend. Okay. And my friend, what is the advantage of Unacademy Plus platform? Why it is different than YouTube? Look at this, my friend. This is just one example. Look at this. This is a question posted by a student. So if you have any doubt in one numerical, send that numerical by taking a picture, and your teacher will explain everything live. Then and there, my friend. Send the question and your teacher will explain this. So this facility is not available on YouTube. Why? Because YouTube is not for learning. Unacademy Plus is for learning, my friend. And look at this leaderboard. What is this? This is called leaderboard. So whenever we have a numerical, okay, so we have a polling where you will compete with all the other students, and we will see what is your rank. This is your rank, and this is your timing, my friend. Okay, so you will see your rank among the students, and you will see your timing. So you can improve your rank, you can improve your timing, and you will have that real life experience, my friend. You will have that real environment, okay, the competitive environment, my friend. Okay, so live polling will be there, leaderboard will be there, doubt solving like this will be there. These are the advantages of Unacademy Plus. So if you want to come to Unacademy Plus, go to unacademyplus.com, pick a goal. There are different goals, my friend. So your goal is GATE and ESE. Select that goal, my friend. Then, my friend, there are different types of subscription. 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 year. 1 year and 2 year subscription are the best. Why? Because their per month cost is very less. Look at the per month cost of every subscription. Per month cost for 1 year and 2 year subscription is best. And if you use this code, you will get 10% off. If you use this code, you will get 10% off. Look at this, my friend. 12-month subscription will only cost you 1875 rupees per month. Okay. And my friend, 24-month will cost you around 1200 per month. Okay. And you can pay this amount by EMI also. Look at this, my friend. There is EMI on debit card also. EMI on debit card or credit card. EMI on debit card or credit card. Look at the cost of EMI, my friend. First of all, there will be no interest on EMI. There will be no interest on EMI. You don't have to pay anything extra. Look at the cost. Per month, you will only have to pay 1875 rupees. Per month, you will only have to pay 1875, and you can join Unacademy Plus. A lot of students are already joining. Every day we are getting lots of students, my friend. We will start a new batch, so don't be late, my friend. Join as quickly as possible using this code, Approve10. Use this code. Don't forget to use this code.